there, and welcome to Astrology for Beginners video series. My name is Elena. I am a professional Vedic astrologer, and in this beginner-friendly series, I teach you how to read your birth chart step by step. If you're into astrology, you would like to learn how to read your birth chart, you like forecasts, karma, celebrity birth charts, and other things like that, be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. If you're new here, be sure to check out the previous videos in this playlist. In particular, you want to learn how to build your birth chart, which the first video in this series talks about, as well as if you're confused by the term Vedic astrology and you don't know what it is, and you're wondering how different it is to the more commonly known Western sun sign astrology, then be sure to also check out this video where I talk about the differences. In the previous video, we talked about the 9 planets or grahas that can be found and studied in your birth chart. And in this video, we will talk about the 12 zodiac signs and their meanings. This is the concept of astrology that most people are more familiar with. So hopefully it'll be easy to follow along with the contents of this video. However, if you want to learn more about each zodiac sign or only a specific zodiac sign for that matter, then I also have a playlist where I did a video series talking about zodiac signs and different celebrity examples that really illustrate that zodiac sign very well. So feel free to check that out, which I am linking here as well. Now, before we get into the meanings of individual zodiac signs, what I would really like to give you here is a framework so that you don't have to sit there and memorize specific meanings of each zodiac sign, but instead you learn a principle that is very systemic and you can apply to interpret zodiac signs with ease. In the previous video, we've learned that planets are the what and the who in the birth charts. Now, zodiac signs are the how, because zodiac signs are the qualities. They are the ways in which the planets express themselves in the person's life. Their specific qualities, characteristics, modalities. They might bring up themes, but nonetheless, zodiac sign answers the question how when you try to interpret a person's birth chart. Now, it's important to understand that all 12 zodiac signs are a part of your birth chart, and in one way or the other, each zodiac sign is a part of you. Now, what makes a zodiac sign really prevalent and very expressive in your life is having planets placed in that zodiac sign so that they, if you will, can act out a scenario that the zodiac sign writes for the planet. For example, you may be born on May 16 as a Taurus sun. However, in your birth chart, you might have 3 or more planets in Gemini. So what you will likely experience is that the energy of the zodiac sign Gemini is a lot more applicable to you, and you resonate with the description of the sign Gemini a lot more, and maybe Taurus just doesn't feel much like you. There are 9 planets in Vedic astrology and 12 zodiac signs, which means some zodiac signs in your birth chart will be empty, as in they will not have any planets that are occupying that sign and that were transiting that sign at the time that you were born. It doesn't really mean much other than the energy of that sign is likely something that you haven't had a lot of experience with and haven't created a lot of karma in your previous lives. So likely you won't resonate with descriptions of that zodiac sign, or you won't really find that the energy of that zodiac sign is very present in your life. Zodiac signs can be sorted into groups according to 3 criteria: their element, fire, earth, air, or water, their quality, movable, fixed, or dual, as well as their gender, masculine or feminine. We will focus mostly on the element classification of zodiac signs in this video. Now, when the majority of planets find themselves in the signs of one element, that typically will make themes and meanings of that element very dominant in your life. Likewise, if there are no planets at all in one or more elements, then you might definitely feel like you have a lack of certain qualities. For example, if you don't have any planets in signs of the earth element, you might find that you lack practicality and that you maybe are a little bit more visionary or creative and have difficulty with practically approaching one matter or the other. The movable, fixed, and dual sign qualities offer a certain type of characteristic to that sign in line with what their name suggests. For example, when there are a lot of planets in movable signs of your birth chart, you might find that your life is very dynamic. There's a lot of events happening. You tend to stay very active, and it's important for you to keep a healthy and steady pace in life. If you have a lot of planets in signs of a fixed quality, then you might likely be someone who prefers more stability and somebody who doesn't like change very much. Now, if many of the planets in your charts are in dual signs, then it means that you're a little bit of both, but also that there's a theme of duality that might dominate your life in one way or the other. Maybe you work 2 different jobs or have 2 separate careers. Maybe you live seasonally in 2 different countries, or maybe you have more than one source of income. The gender classifications of signs into masculine and feminine doesn't apply to signs the same way that it does when we talk about people. So you can't really say that if a man has a lot of planets in feminine signs, that he's very feminine, or if a woman has a lot of planets in masculine signs, then she's very masculine. The sign's gender has to do with the way the sign expresses itself, where masculine signs are more outward oriented and they're more active, whereas the feminine signs tend to have a more passive nature and they're more inward oriented. At this point, you might be wondering, okay, there's lots of signs, there's lots of planet in them, so which is the sign that I associate myself with? The answer to that is you might want to look at your rising, moon, and sun signs in that order. And if you want to learn more about the reasons why, then you can check out my video where I talk about the big 3 signs of astrology: the sun, the moon, and the ascendant. Now, let's move on to individual zodiac signs, starting with the fire element group. Fire element signs include Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, which are the 1st, 5th, and 9th sign in the zodiac. Fire element signs are all united by that quality of being very action-oriented. They're very passionate, creative, expressive, spirited, and animated. But their motive for action is different with each zodiac sign, which is something that we're also going to look into. All the fire signs are masculine signs. They're very active, and a lot of their activity is aimed outward. Let's look at Aries zodiac sign qualities. On the positive side, we have a sign that is very active, very high energy, initiating, courageous, assertive, and decisive. When expressed negatively, Aries' high energy can be aggressive and even explosive. The sign has an impulsive quality. These are the people who can get frustrated very easily. They can be impatient, hot-headed, pushy, and competitive. Aries is the 1st sign of the zodiac. So people who are born with their rising, moon, or sun placements in Aries are typically doers by nature. And you can also find them in these trailblazing missions and positions. This is the most active and dynamic sign of the entire zodiac, which can be understood since this is both a fire sign and it is of a movable quality. The next fire sign is Leo. On the positive side, Leo natives can be described as confident, regal, noble, generous, a little bit dramatic, authoritative, powerful, creative, and fiercely loyal. When Leo expresses negatively, we can see the sign as pompous, vain, self-centered, selfish, condescending, power-hungry, and egotistical. Leo is the sign that has the biggest potential for self-expression. This is like a conduit to your sense of self, to knowing what you are and who you are, not being afraid to step in the limelight and claim your spot in the world. Leo and another zodiac sign, Cancer, are the mom and dad of the zodiac. They are ruled by the sun and the moon, who are the king and the queen of the night sky. This shows us both the royal nature and the strong family values typically found with people who are representatives of the Leo and Cancer zodiac sign. Leo is a masculine fire sign of a fixed quality, and of all fire signs, Leo is the one that is most attached to stability. And the stability in Leo's case comes from a stable family structure. Now, with Leo being ruled by the sun, which is the king among planets, Leo natives are usually very concerned with leaving a legacy and having a strong, united power family front. The last zodiac sign of the fire group is Sagittarius. On the positive side, Sagittarius is righteous, optimistic, generous, principled, charitable, enthusiastic, wise, and philosophical. However, when Sagittarius zodiac sign expresses negatively, it can be quite dogmatic, overly principled, self-righteous, hypocritical, and judgmental. Sagittarius natives can be stuffy, stubborn, and very attached to outdated traditions, rituals, and ways of life. Sagittarius is the most idealistic sign of the zodiac. People who have their sun, moon, or rising sign in Sagittarius typically have this really strong moral compass and a very strong innate desire to do the right thing. They're driven by the vision of how things should be, and when the reality doesn't coincide with that, then they often find themselves in a place where they try to make justice and make the world or their life a better place. This is a fire masculine sign of a dual quality, and you can see its duality in how, on one hand, they're very motivated by their vision and a sense of adventure, which is a more movable expression, but on the other hand, they are very attached to tradition, rituals, and the way things should be, which is a more fixed quality. Also, for all of how righteous and wanting to do the right thing and having strong values Sagittarians usually are, there is one particular constellation within Sagittarius which can gift someone with questionable values, tendency to break the law, have troubles with faith or religion, or often question societal norms and definition of propriety. To wrap up on fire signs, let's see some of their more notable differences. If Aries strives to be the first to do something as it is motivated by action, Leo wants to be the best, as it is motivated by the idea of status and high social standing. Sagittarius' drive for action comes from a place of wanting to do the right thing for the world and make it a better place. Fire signs also create differently. Aries creates out of their excessive energy and the need to release and transform the energy into action. Leo creates out of its desire for self-expression. They need to show the world what they are and what they have to offer. But also, an important modality for Leo is to build a legacy. Sagittarius creates because of its desire to do the right thing, to show, teach, and inspire the right way of doing things and the right way of life with the rest of us. The next group we will cover are the signs of the earth element. These are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, or the second, 6th, and 10th sign of the zodiac. What all earth element signs have in common is their tendency toward practicality, being realistic and materialistic, in the sense of being first and foremost preoccupied with very down-to-earth and regular life things. This group of signs is notable for their association with money and financial management, as well as for their very low speed, which we will see when we look into each of these zodiac signs in more detail. All earth signs are very feminine. Their modality is passive and they are more inward-oriented. Starting with Taurus. On the positive side, Taurus natives can be described as stable and determined. Those with notable placements in Taurus are typically financially astute. They're sensual, they're reliable, and charismatic. Taurus is the sign of good taste, craftsmanship, artistry, and aesthetic. When expressed negatively, Taurus is possessive, hedonistic, stubborn, materialistic, rigid, lazy, and averse to change. Taurus is a feminine earth sign of the fixed quality, which means it represents both the slow earth element and the fixed, averse to change category. Of all zodiac signs, Taurus is the one that is most attached to stability and is most averse to change. The concept of stability and certainty in tomorrow is something that is of paramount importance to Taurus. Financial means are something that is a way of securing a comfortable life for Taurus. They're typically financially savvy. It's important for them to have savings, accumulate, and manage money well. And while that can be said of anyone, regardless of their zodiac signs, for Taurus in particular, money and finance is a big priority in life. The next earth zodiac sign is Virgo. On the positive side, you can describe Virgo as methodical, practical, logical, analytical, detail-oriented, and very humble and unassuming. This is a sign that aims for purity and perfection in all of its different forms, and it is very service-oriented. The word routine is synonymous with Virgo because the sign has a certain integrity component to it. Virgo's negative manifestation shows up as being overly nitpicky, overly critical, particular, perfectionist, and obsessive over detail. Virgo zodiac sign placements in the big three of sun, moon, and rising can make someone overly stuffy in a way of being overly thorough and fixated on detail. Virgo natives are often shy and introverted, reserved demeanor. They're very dedicated to their work. It is very important for them to feel useful to others, to society in general, which is part of the reason why they strive for mastery of their craft. They're usually highly intellectual and money smart and tend to make very good and sound financial decisions, which is also one of the reasons why Virgo is connected to commerce and trade. Virgo natives are also somewhat flexible, and they tend to adapt rather well to changing circumstances when they must. Virgo is a feminine earth sign of a dual quality. The duality here can be seen in Virgo's simultaneous attachment to routine, which is more fixed, and its ability to adapt to circumstances and problem solve in real time when they must, and that is a movable quality. Also, while this sign is focused on serving communities, there is a constellation within Virgo that has stronger leadership qualities, and people who have placements in it tend to look to be in positions of power and influence because they have this innate need and talent of leading others toward a common goal. Last but not least, among the earth signs, we have Capricorn. Some of Capricorn's positive qualities are discipline, structure, and ambition. You can see Capricorn natives as hardworking, persistent, serious, responsible, and realistic. Their dark side can show up as being very cunning, almost cutthroat. They can also be very restrained, very cold and calculated, sometimes even pessimistic, overly conservative, or just reserved. Capricorn is the most ambitious and career-focused sign of the entire zodiac. People with one or more of their big three placements in Capricorn can suffer from workaholism. They're often hyper-focused on achieving positions of power, becoming successful, and having influence, so much so that they are willing to cross many lines. Capricorn is a feminine earth sign of a movable quality, and it is the most dynamic of all earth signs. Capricorn natives often understand the value of time. They try to respect it by being patient, punctual, learning how to plan their time well, learning how to set goals in a smart way so that they're ambitious but also attainable in the time that they have mapped out for themselves. Capricorn's ambition comes from this desire for influence and from this need to build a lasting structure that long outlives them and becomes something that others can rely on for many, many years to come. Now that we have looked into all three of the earth signs, let's learn to understand their main differences. All three earth signs are attached to stability, with Taurus being the most stable and deliberate of the three. Taurus's attachment to stability comes from their desire for having a comfortable life where a change is a threat that can disrupt it. Virgo is attached to stability in the form of a routine because a routine allows Virgo to produce consistent quality output, which performs both on the service orientation of the sign as well as its big value of integrity. Capricorn is attached to stability through structure. It builds enduring systems, institutions, and legacies. Capricorn finds security in discipline, hierarchy, and tangible achievement, creating frameworks that provide order, authority, and lasting results. Financial resources are also important to all three signs. But Taurus, out of their desire for having a comfortable life, Virgo is more thrifty with money than Taurus and effective at waste-free money management, and it is also a sign of commerce and trade. Capricorn sees money as an asset that builds their influence, desire for which is rooted in their ambition. Up next, we have air signs. Signs of this group include Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, or the 3rd, 7th, and 11th zodiac sign. All air signs have a mental or intellectual capacity, and all three of them are social, which means that their expression takes shape in communications, thoughts, the mental realm, and relationships. All air signs are masculine, highly active, and outward-oriented. Let's start with Gemini. When positive, this sign can be intellectual, fun, versatile, curious, inquisitive, and mobile. Gemini also tends to seek variety a lot. In negative manifestations, it can be very easily overstimulated, shallow, and superficial. All this mental activity can easily leave Gemini scattered, easily irritable, fickle, nervous, and easily distracted. As an air sign, Gemini has a social quality. The way it interacts with others in this buddy-friend kind of capacity, collecting and spreading information. This is the sign who focuses on creating contacts, which are in a way kind of like a social currency the Gemini relies upon. This sign also has a tendency to imitate. Gemini is a masculine air sign of a dual quality. Its chatty, adventurous, and curiosity-driven nature show a more movable aspect, while its capacity to hold on, retain, organize and store large amounts of information in their mind is a more fixed quality. Also, while it's known for its fun-loving and superficial nature, there is a constellation within Gemini which holds incredibly deep transformative power that crystallizes Gemini's character. The next air sign is Libra. In a positive way, Libra is charming, tactful, considerate, cultured, and well-mannered. This zodiac sign possesses a great capacity for building relationships, being tolerant and fair to others, seeking balance and harmony in life. When it expresses negatively, Libra is indecisive, people-pleasing, has this overwhelming need for others' approval, and it can be indirect. Libra is the sign that has the strongest orientation at relationships, which includes romantic relationships, friendships, and business partnerships. The symbol for this zodiac sign is a scale, and it lets us in on 3 of the important Libra qualities. First, this is a sign that is associated with justice, which is why Libra natives are so focused on being fair to everyone and have a strong sense of justice built in them. Second, it signifies balance as like a larger theme in Libra's life, with them always seeking to find balance between material and spiritual, work life, feminine, masculine, you name it. Balance is just a theme of life for Libra. And third, as the symbol is the scale, it symbolizes parity, which is an important principle for Libra because when they build relationships, they seek to build a partnership of which both people are partners and are equally contributing to the relationship. Libra is a masculine air sign of movable quality. Both the air element and the movable quality are dynamic in nature, which means that Libra natives tend to change their opinions quite a lot, which is their famous indecision comes from, as well as have different values at different stages of life, and just constantly evolve, changing their preferences, taste, and intellectual views. We're wrapping up the air sign trio with none other than Aquarius. Some of its more positive qualities are its inventiveness, originality, independence, liberalism, and nonconformism. This is a sign that has very humanitarian values. It's a sign that values friendships and also for whom communities and being part of a community plays a large role in their life and is typically one of their biggest values. The negative side of Aquarius can show them as aloof, eccentric, avoiding closeness, being opinionated, and being disruptive. Aquarius rising sun and moon placements can find themselves being contrarian, but not because they believe in the idea that they're trying to promote, but sometimes just for the sake of being anti-something and wanting to be different. Like all air signs, Aquarius is very social, focusing on groups or teams of people at a time. This is the sign that possesses a unique talent to find like-minded individuals and unite them in pursuit of common goal or interest. Aquarius is a sign that needs a lot of space. So if you have one of your big 3 sun, moon, or rising placements in Aquarius, you typically don't do really well when somebody tries to force a one-on-one interaction with you, rather choosing to focus on the group interaction with people that allows a little bit more personal space and privacy for yourself. Aquarius is a masculine air sign of fixed quality. Although it is a sign that is driven by big ideas, intellectual freedom, and originality, its fixed nature gives them a very structured and scientific approach to those ideas. Aquarius doesn't just invent through pure chaos or spontaneity. Instead, it relies on systems of knowledge, rigorous research, and tried and tested principles as a foundation for true innovation. This fixed quality allows Aquarians to stay committed to their visions for long enough to actually bring these radical concepts into reality. To summarize, all air signs are social and intellectual, each in their own way. Gemini pursues contacts, while Libra takes contacts and transforms them into relationships, allowing for more intimacy and making interactions feel more personal and relatable. If Libra's focus is one-to-one relationships, Aquarius's is one-to-many, where their superpower is to unite people into groups or teams where everyone works toward a common goal. Gemini's intellectuality comes from a place of curiosity and this desire to stay informed in a wide variety of subjects. Libra is also intellectual, but in a more refined, cultured, well-mannered, and even political kind of way. Libra's motivation is not so much to know a lot, but to show class. Aquarius is driven by fresh ideas and deep desire to see patterns and understand principles that can be applied en masse. Last but not least, we will look at the water element signs. These are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, or the 4th 8th and 12th signs of the zodiac. What all water signs have in common is their connection to the realm of feelings, emotions, and intuition, each in their own way, as we will see in a minute. All water signs are feminine, passive in their expression, and inward-oriented. Starting with Cancer, its more positive side shows up as sensitivity, empathy, emotional intelligence. Cancer natives are often very insightful, psychologically astute, nurturing, and protective. Cancer's darker side features qualities like over-the-top sensitivity, mushiness, moodiness, and defensiveness. Cancer natives can also be quite manipulative, and they tend to lose themselves in relationships, getting overly attached to other people. Cancer is the most sensitive sign of the zodiac, and Cancer natives, meaning people who have their sun, moon, or rising sign in Cancer, have this talent and this ability to really understand the feelings and the emotions of their own and other people's. They naturally make really good psychologists and can usually read between the lines on most conversations or situations. However, because they're so skilled at understanding other people's feelings, emotions, and just things that they're going through, they can sometimes twist these feelings into manipulating others. Their sensitivity comes at a great price, because most people see Cancer natives as way too sensitive, not understanding how someone can experience such a full spectrum and radiance of emotion, and therefore a lot of people will understandably stay away from Cancer and its mushiness. Cancer is a feminine water sign of movable quality, which we see a lot with how fast their moods, feelings, and even outlook on life can change, sometimes several times during the day. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and this is the fastest moving planet we look at in Vedic astrology, and just as the moon moves through zodiac signs and its cycle phases, Cancer natives have a mood for every day of the week, and their feelings and emotions tend to be constantly in flow. The next water sign is Scorpio. Its more positive qualities is being passionate, relentless, quite loyal, resourceful, and perceptive. Scorpio natives can really keep a secret, and they handle a crisis or unprecedented times better than anybody else. At the same time, Scorpio is more known for its darker side, as it has this destructive, vindictive, fierce, and manipulative side. What's important to understand about this sign is it's wired to anticipate and seek out danger. Scorpio natives have an immense reserve of power inside, which allows them to scan the environment for signs of danger, instinctually sense it, and really try and mitigate how they will handle one situation or the other, which means that most of the time, they see the world in its lowest and worst possible qualities. That's why Scorpio natives are so good at managing unexpected situations. While the rest of us are shocked by the turn of events, Scorpio natives could see it coming from a mile away. They have this talent for seeing right through things and people, which is why they don't do well with superficiality, because they see it as something inauthentic, and it triggers their response to continue seeking for danger. Scorpio is a feminine water sign of a fixed quality. Their feelings and emotions tend to linger, and they really hold on to the experiences they've had with people and remember them after a very long time. Scorpio lives by this fool me once mentality, and this is how they get their bad rap for being vindictive. Scorpio is the sign associated with the occult, so people who have their rising moon or sun sign in Scorpio are often interested in esoteric disciplines. So among them, you can find many of our colleagues, the astrologers. Last but not least, let's talk about the Pisces zodiac sign. When positive, you can experience it as ethereal, dreamy, romantic, kind, selfless, compassionate, meditative. Pisces natives are very charitable and benevolent, but they too have a darker side, with their tendency toward escapism, being selfless to the point that it hurts them, as well as being naive, gullible, illusory, and unfocused. Pisces natives are almost too kind for this world. They believe the best in people, they feel for everyone, and want to help everyone, so they often get taken advantage of. Pisces absorbs emotions, energies, signals, and feelings, and subtle information from the environment like a psychic sponge. With virtually no emotional boundaries, it can sense what others are experiencing and tap into the collective unconscious, often receiving insights through dreams, visions, feelings, or just this sudden inner knowing. Pisces is a feminine water sign of a dual quality. On one hand, it is ever-changing and deeply fluid due to its highly emotional and dreamy nature. On the other hand, it carries a profound eternal quality. Like a drop in the ocean, their individual self is part of something that is vastly larger, more constant, and timeless than itself. In summary, water signs are most known for their emotional and intuitive quality. Cancer's emotional and intuitive sides comes from its deep understanding of the workings of the inner world, as well as its ability to read between the lines and really understand the emotions of others. Scorpio also has the capacity to psychologically understand other people, but it comes as more of a byproduct of their constant scanning the environment for the signs of danger and insincerity. Pisces' emotional and intuitive self works kind of like a radio, borrowing from the pool of wisdom that comes with the universal truth and their ability to see and understand the bigger picture of life. Metaphorically speaking, Cancer is a lake, Scorpio is a Mariana Trench, and Pisces an endless ocean. Now, this rounds up the look into all 12 zodiac signs, their classifications and characteristics. Now that you know both the meanings of the zodiac signs and the planets, you can try and build your very first own interpretations by building your chart and connecting the meanings of the planets to the meanings of the zodiac signs as you'll find them in your birth chart. Be sure to let me know what you come up with and your interpretations in the comments. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe to my channel not to miss any of the upcoming video in this series.